question that I have probably been asked the most since going on Dragon's Den was, what happened next? So for those of you that don't know, the timeline was that in July 2024, I filmed Dragon's Den, where I pitched my business, Lacey's, to, well, it wasn't 5 dragons, it was 6, because there was a guest, Joe Wicks, in the den as well, pitching the business to try and get investment. And this was aired in January 2025. And during the filming, I did actually shake hands on a deal with one of the dragons, who was Tuka Suleiman. So immediately after filming, the production staff take you to the other side of the building, because you and the dragons are kept as far apart as possible during the day of filming, to have a short conversation. And this was very much sort of probably 5 to 10 minutes, private conversation. There's no BBC staff around at that stage. And Tuka was just sort of very much telling me where he saw the brand and what he wanted to do, and he was very much still talking about trying to get manufacturing costs down, and just, you know, basically said that the due diligence that the BBC had done, which was a folder of information like that I had to provide, that was being sent to his office, and that his office would be in touch for any further information. And then you go home, and that's a really weird experience, because you've been in this bubble for about 2 weeks in the run up to filming, and it's like, it's frantic, it's non-stop. You're trying to prepare your set, you're trying to learn your script. Also, you can't tell anybody. So this was July, it was chaos, and then you go home and it literally is business as normal, but you still can't say anything to anybody. So I think it was about 5 days later, and I received a call on the mobile. So there was a mobile number, I didn't recognise it, picked up, and it was, "Hello, Emma, it's Tuka." Obviously that is not Tuka's voice, because I can't do impressions, but then he said that he wanted to talk to me, wanted me to go to London sooner rather than later, and that my husband was to come along as well. My husband on filming day was allowed to come to the studios, but obviously was kept, you know, in the green room, in the background. Everything that he knew was just what I told him, but, you know, Tuka was really transparent and said, "You should bring your husband along so we can all talk together." So we made an appointment to go to his offices in London, and I think it was about a week after the call, so it was really quite soon after the Dragon's Den filming that we went there. I went to his offices, not what I was expecting. He had got quite a lot of office space over quite a few floors, but we kind of went into the reception area, and there were like sample boxes everywhere, and then we went up to another floor, and there were just like hanging rails and boxes, sort of kind of like Lacey's on delivery day, but on a, you know, much smaller scale for us. And then we got taken into his office, and I think this was Tuka's office. There were a couple of sofas, his desk, then on the windowsill quite a lot of trophies of awards that his brands have won over the years, and then an amazing view of London, and you can see the BT Tower. And we sat there and we had a cup of tea, say no biscuits. If anybody comes to my offices, there's always a biscoff for them, so I was a bit surprised there. But we got introduced to his investments director, and then another chap who I think is his business development manager. And it was all quite, you know, quite relaxed. I mean, I don't think much any more stressful than being in the den. So everything else is kind of relaxed to me. And we just had a chat. Tuka explained a little bit more about his manufacturing contacts and his other investments and the products that he has made. So I think for context, I should probably say that Tuka's got another product that's a children's teething product, and it's made from silicone. So he has got a factory in China that is heavily involved in silicone manufacture, and a Lacey's band is made from silicone. And then he gave us a tour of the room next door, and the room next door has literally got kind of like slat walls with all different products from all his different brands. So his brands plus other Dragon's Den investments as well. So he was able to show me those. And then he said to me how he saw Lacey's having a space on this wall, and it had to be Lacey's, and it had to be other shoelace type products, and shoelaces and no tie shoelaces and shoelace fasteners. And I think for me here, that was sort of the first alarm bell, because I had been quite clear that Laces was our hero product, it always is, but I saw the brand being developed with Defiance, which are the rest of our accessories, and I didn't really want to go down the road of sort of no-tie shoelaces. However, I completely respect Tuka and Tuka's business acumen. So I just sort of, said, yeah, okay, let's take a look at some samples and we'll see where we go. During this meeting, I actually had some early stage prototype products that I was able to show them. And to my relief, they were really, really impressed. So they were our Defiance Fresh products. And we launched those 12 months ago, and I can safely say they have been super, super successful. One of the things, though, is that we opened quite a few packets of Defiance Fresh in this relatively small office. So there was a very, very strong lemon scent, and I really have no idea how long that scent stayed for, because it was pretty tough when we were in there. But then we left. That was the end of that meeting. So after the meeting, headed back to Dorset, and then I was given another questionnaire and a further list of documents that were needed by Tuka's team. And I started to compile these, but bear in mind we had also given like a huge folder to the BBC. And for me, it seemed like every time I provided something, it would generate another list of additional things that they needed on top, which I completely respect that they go big on the due diligence. But I was doing this whilst running the business. The brand was growing every month and the day-to-day business, and I actually started to find it quite draining. And I've spoken before how I make a lot of my business decisions on gut instinct, intuition, and I don't know, I was just starting to get a little bit uneasy. I didn't dismiss it. I just kind of parked it up and just kind of carried on doing what I was doing. And then Tuka wanted us to move our manufacturing tools to his factory. So for some context, the products are built, you have a tool. As a company, you own that. That's in the factory who will manufacture your product. And tools can be, thousands. Ours are probably sort of £3,000 to £4,000 each, and we had two. And he was very, very keen, like, let's get these to my factory. We can get your product manufactured straight away. And I was kind of like, whoa, let's just hold on a little bit there. My manufacturers have been amazing. We have a really, really good relationship with them. They have supported me. They've helped me in so many ways over the journey. I just felt like if we took the tools out of the factory, that's kind of like it. We've closed the door on that relationship, and I certainly didn't want that. So I stood my ground. I was like, no, that's not happening. We'll have to prototype tools with your factory if that's what we're going to do. And they agreed with me, thankfully, and they did produce us some bands. And I am so relieved that our tools didn't just go to the other factory, because the bands that got produced, actually, there were some flaws with them. And you might look at a laces band and think it's such a simple thing, but there are so many different elements during the manufacture process that can go wrong, that can make the band weak, and they can snap. So one of those things came to me, and immediately, I was like, no, this isn't good enough. And I'm just really glad at this stage that I was just able to sort of have the confidence to say, no, let's slow down. So shortly after the meeting with Tuka, he visited Sports Direct with his team. Now, this wasn't a meeting which I was invited to. Slightly disappointed about that, but I now believe it's because he invested in another sports product during the same season of Dragon's Den. So I believe that he probably pitched both of our products to Sports Direct at the same time. And also bear in mind, none of these episodes or products have been aired, so the deals are still really confidential. So Tuka had said to me during my meeting in London that he goes to the same gym as one of the directors of Sports Direct. He was super confident that he was going to put the bands down and they were going to order hundreds of thousands of them. I really love his enthusiasm and his positivity. And they did have a really good meeting with Sports Direct, but the figures were a little more conservative, shall we say. And they started out with a online-only trial, which was successful. And then they rolled that out into a retail store placement with us. And what I would say here is I have tried and failed many times to get Sports Direct to even have a conversation with me. So this just this couldn't have happened without Tuka and his team opening those doors. I think what I will do is record another episode about my experience with big retail, because this was a massive learning curve for me. So I think it's something that I should definitely share with you guys in more detail soon. So I forget the exact timeline now, but we don't know when our episode is going to be aired. We know that the new season 22, is going to be out in January, but we also filmed quite late. So we're told that we're likely to be sort of in the latter part of the season. So we're probably thinking March, April time. I'm still going back and forth, providing documents for his team, providing something, they asked for something else. And there was a stage where I didn't snap, but I just said, I just can't keep jumping every time that you ask me for something. And I think it was just the ask for something, they want 5 more questions raised on that I found really quite draining. And they responded that when you have the investment, this is what is expected of you. I suppose really that rang alarm bell number 2. And I was still really raw at this stage from the fallout with my business partner, my co-founder, and I just couldn't shake off the feeling in my gut. So in December 2024, we got a call from the BBC to tell us that we were going to be aired on the new season of Dragon's Den, and it was going to be episode 1, which was a huge surprise to me and to Tuka's team as well, because as I'd said, we'd filmed quite late in the season. This was the busiest time of the year for us, and now we had 2 weeks to get quite a few things sorted out. So the first one was the website. We had to have it stress tested to make sure that if there was going to be a spike in traffic, that it wouldn't crash. We had to make sure we had enough stock to meet the demand if there was going to be a spike in sales. And we had to do a little bit of media work. So we were allowed to write a press release. But again, this all had to be approved and controlled by the BBC. Pretty much controlled the rhetoric. So what we said had to be approved. They provided us with 2 photographs. One of those has never seen the light of day because I absolutely hated it. So in essence, I had 1 photograph I was allowed to use, and really prepare ourselves and really market ourselves as much as we possibly could to get the maximum exposure from the filming and the airing day. We aired 9th of January and it was a huge success. There was a massive spike in sales. The website didn't crash. Funny story, the website's hosted on Shopify. I contacted Shopify because I was told I had to do a stress test, wasn't really sure how to do that. And I was like, we might get extra traffic. We don't want the website to crash. And their response to me was that they host Kylie Cosmetics, which is one of the Kardashians, and it doesn't crash for her. I was like, okay. We're good. We're all good. There was some really, really positive feedback, despite the fact during the show, the BBC edited a little bit of me where I got my numbers wrong, just for some dramatic effect.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Gross profit?
Gross profit. I'm sorry, I haven't got that.
And we got some really, really great brand interest afterwards. At this stage now, no deal has been done. There's been a couple of alarm bells and my gut's telling me one thing, my head's telling me something else, and I knew that I had a decision to make. I wanted to call a face-to-face meeting with Tuka, and I wanted to tell him that I didn't want to go ahead with the deal that we agreed in the den. If you remember, I was offering 20% of the company and he wanted to take 40% for the equity. I remember going back, we visited the same office in London. I also remember when it was because it was a Friday and the Dragon's Den episodes are aired on a Thursday evening. And it was a bit of an infamous episode that had been aired where he made an offer to Lucy from the company Hair Syrup. Let's just say it was a little bit contentious. So he came in, Tuka, bold as brass as he is, asked us if we saw Dragon's Den last night, which we replied yes. And he was like, I'm getting a bit of hate on the Daily Mail. I've just been reading it. But it just in Tuka style, he just laughed it off. So we had little chats about that. And I guess for him just goes with the territory of what he's doing. But I said to him, after all the niceties, I said, Tuka, I need to tell you something. I don't want to take your money. And immediately he was like, whoa, it's fine. It's your baby. It's your business. I've always said that. Completely good. I wish you luck. And I was like, whoa, no, just slow down a little bit. And actually, I did expect that reaction from him because my experiences I've had with him, he is just a really, really lovely guy. But I said, you've done a lot for me. I respect that. You've opened doors for me. And also, I didn't want him to think badly of me. I offered him some advisory shares, but in return for no money. I'm not going to say here how many shares I offered him, what percentage I offered to him, but we didn't agree the amount in the meeting. So then a few days later, I had an email from somebody in his team, and they sort of said, thank you for your offer. We would like you to double the amount of shares that you're gifting to Tuka. So it's kind of like a common thing, really, that whatever I say, Tuka wants double. I then had to think about that, actually, because I had a figure in my mind and I didn't want to move from it. But spent some time talking to my husband, and he said, no, let's give that to them. So we accepted. Then they needed some more forecasts. They needed a lot more figures to present to their accountants so that they could do whatever they needed to do their end. And then this kind of just rolled on, and I probably wasn't providing things as quickly as I was at the earlier stages, but I had other priorities, and also I wasn't asking for any money from Tuka, so obviously I just didn't feel like I had to jump quite as high and as fast as they wanted me to. And then they didn't chase me, but you know, time moves on. He's a very, very busy man, lots of other investments. I think he was getting ready to film the series 23 of Dragon's Den as well. So we actually had sort of very little communication. I did eventually send over the low-level forecast that they requested, and this was the very last time that I ever heard from them. So really for me, I just think time had moved on. Tuka is an incredibly busy man. I perhaps didn't chase hard enough, but that really does just signify the end of my journey and my relationship with Tuka and his team. What I would say is, hand on heart, I feel that if I needed something and I reached out to him, I think he would pick up the phone, just because I've seen what type of man that he is, and he's a genuine, crazily busy, 2 a.m. emails person that won't ever stop creating businesses. But for me, I've learned a lot. It was a fantastic experience, but also I'm still the captain of my own ship, and the couple of kind of alarm bells and those sort of horrible feelings in my gut told me that that's what I needed to remain doing. And it's something which I intend to keep on doing, whilst trying to grow the brand how I want it, where I see it going, and just keeping it aligning with my brand vision and my goals. So if you want more of these stories, the adventures of building an e-commerce brand, then just hit the like and the subscribe button.